was a cold night. The sky was heavy with dark clouds, and the wind moved through the empty streets like a ghost. In a small house on the edge of town, a man sat alone. His name was Daniel. He lived a quiet life, far from noise, far from crowds. For him, tonight was like every other night, until he heard the knock. At first, Daniel thought it was the sound of the wind pushing against his door, but then the knock came again, slow, heavy, strange. Knock, knock. Daniel's heart jumped. Nobody came to his house at this hour. He looked at the clock. Midnight. The world outside was silent, almost too silent. He stood up carefully, his feet cold on the wooden floor, and moved closer to the door. The knock came a third time, louder, stronger. Knock, knock, knock. Daniel froze. Something inside him whispered not to open it. His hand trembled as he reached for the doorknob. He asked himself, who could it be? A neighbor, a thief? Or something worse? When he finally pulled the door open, the breath in his chest stopped. There, standing in the rain, was not a person. Not a child. Not even anything Daniel had seen before. It was small, no taller than his waist. Its skin was pale and seemed to glow faintly in the darkness. Its eyes were large, too large for its face, and they shined like silver moons. Daniel stepped back in shock. He whispered without meaning to. "What are you?" The creature did not move at first. Water from the rain ran down its small cloak. Then slowly it lifted its head. Its voice was soft, almost breaking, but Daniel heard it clearly. "I am Elder, please. Let me in." Daniel's mind raced. Elder. The being was small, weak, but there was something powerful about the way it spoke. Something ancient. His first thought was to slam the door shut, to lock it, to pretend this was a dream. But his second thought held him still. What if this was real? The tiny figure raised a hand. Its fingers were long and thin, glowing faintly in the night. It was not a threat. It was a request. "Please," the being repeated. "I need human help." Daniel felt the storm outside press harder against his house. The wind howled. The rain hammered the roof. The world itself seemed to be waiting for his answer. He opened the door wider. "Come inside." The small alien elder stepped over the threshold. The sound of the storm grew distant the moment the door closed. The silence inside the house was heavy, almost crushing. Daniel's heart beat so loudly he thought the visitor could hear it. The creature looked around the room with slow, careful eyes. Then it sat down on the floor as if too weak to stand any longer. Its cloak dripped water onto the wood. Its breathing was shallow, like every breath was a fight. Daniel did not know what to say. He had 1,000 questions, but the first one was simple. "Why are you here?" The elder's silver eyes turned toward him. For a long moment it did not answer. Then, in a voice filled with weight and sorrow, it said, "Because if I did not come to you tonight, your world would soon be lost." Daniel's stomach tightened. Lost? What did that mean? His lips were dry. His voice came out low. "Lost how?" The elder did not reply. Instead, it lifted a small object from under its cloak. It was a cube, no bigger than Daniel's fist. The surface glowed with a deep blue light, as if stars were trapped inside it. Daniel stared at it, unable to speak. The air around the cube seemed alive, humming, vibrating with hidden energy. The elder's voice trembled as it spoke again. "This does not belong to us. This belongs to humans, and you must keep it safe." Daniel felt a chill run through him, colder than the storm outside. He did not understand. He could not understand. Why would something so strange, so otherworldly, belong to humans? The elder leaned closer, its eyes never blinking. "You will ask many questions, but tonight, you must only listen." Daniel nodded without meaning to. Something about the way the elder spoke, the way its words carried weight, left no room for doubt. He felt as though the very walls of his home were leaning in, waiting for the truth to be told. And then, for the first time since the knock, Daniel realized something strange. He was not afraid anymore. The fear he felt at the door had changed. It had become something different, something heavier, a sense of responsibility, a sense that whatever had just entered his home was not just a visitor. It was a warning. The elder's voice fell to a whisper. "The night has only begun. The world will soon hear the knock, just as you did." Daniel looked toward his window. Outside, the storm raged on, but above the clouds, far away, a faint light moved across the sky. It was not the moon. It was not a star, it was something else, and with that, the silence of the room pressed harder against Daniel's chest. The knock that started on his door had opened something far greater, something the whole world would soon face. The storm outside continued to roar, but inside Daniel's house, time felt frozen. The strange visitor sat silently on the floor, its small frame shaking with exhaustion. Daniel stood near the table, his hands tight against the wood, trying to hold himself steady. The cube in the alien's hands pulsed with a soft blue glow as if it had a heartbeat of its own. Daniel wanted to speak, but the words would not come. 1,000 questions filled his head. What are you? Why me? What is this cube? But before he could form a sentence, the elder raised one trembling hand. Do not ask. Not yet, the alien whispered. Its voice was soft but carried the weight of something ancient. I came with a request. Daniel frowned. A request from me? The elder nodded slowly, its silver eyes fixed on him, sharp yet tired. Yes, from you. From a human. Daniel could not understand. Why would a creature from the stars, something far older and wiser than himself, come to him? A simple man living alone in a small house. He shook his head. I think you've made a mistake. I'm not important. I can't help you. The elder leaned forward. The glow of the cube reflected across its face, making its features look even more alien, more otherworldly. You do not see yourself as important, the elder said. But that is why we came. You are exactly who we need. Daniel's chest tightened. His voice cracked. Why me? The elder closed its eyes for a moment as if searching for strength. Then it spoke with quiet certainty. Because humans are different. Your kind has something no other race carries, something even we fear, and if you refuse to help, the world you know will not survive. The words cut into Daniel like a blade. Not survive. His hands clenched into fists. He wanted to demand an explanation, but the elder continued, its voice shaking as if every word cost it energy. There is a force, a darkness, moving toward this world. We have seen it before. It swallows planets. It burns civilizations. It leaves nothing but silence. We could fight it once. We cannot fight it now. Only humans can. Daniel felt his heart pound faster. His mind refused to accept the weight of what he was hearing. That's impossible, he said, his voice sharp. I'm just a man. Humanity doesn't have ships, armies in space, weapons to fight things like you're talking about. We don't even know what's out there. The elder's silver eyes opened wide, shining brighter. That is the lie you believe. That is the lie you were given. Humans are more than they remember. Daniel froze. More than they remember? The elder placed the glowing cube carefully on the table. Its hum filled the room with a strange vibration. This, the elder said, is proof. The cube belongs to your kind. Long ago, humans touched the stars. Long ago, they faced the same darkness. And they won. But the truth was buried, forgotten. Daniel shook his head in disbelief. That makes no sense. We've never had that kind of power. We can't even reach Mars without years of planning. The elder's voice turned firmer, though still weak. You think of rockets and metal machines. That is not your true strength. Your strength is inside you. The cube will show it. Touch it and you will see. Daniel stared at the object. It was beautiful, dangerous, and alive. His hands trembled as he reached toward it, but fear held him back. What if it burned him? What if it killed him? The elder leaned closer. You must not be afraid. Fear is what the darkness feeds on. Courage is what destroys it. Something about the way the alien said those words sank deep into Daniel's mind. Courage. The idea that courage could be a weapon against a cosmic enemy sounded insane, yet strangely true. He slowly reached out, his fingers brushing against the cube's surface. The moment his skin touched it, the cube reacted. The blue light flared brighter, filling the room with a glow that pushed back every shadow. The storm outside seemed to vanish, or maybe Daniel could no longer hear it. In that moment, he felt something enter him. A pulse, a memory, a voice. Images flashed in his head. Strange battlefields under alien skies. Humans standing tall against towering machines. A sea of stars where Earth's ancestors once fought and won. His heart raced as he saw humans not as weak, fragile beings, but as warriors feared by galaxies. Daniel pulled his hand back, gasping for breath. The light from the cube dimmed, returning to its soft hum. He stared at the elder with wide eyes. What did I just see? The elder lowered its head. The truth. A truth hidden for ages. You are not powerless. No human is. But the world has forgotten. Now the darkness comes again. And it must remember. Or it will die. Daniel swallowed hard. His voice was low, almost broken. "And what do you want from me?" The elder lifted its head, its glowing eyes locking onto Daniel's. "I want you to help awaken your world. I want you to carry the message, to remind humans of what they are. You do not need ships. You do not need weapons. You need only yourselves." Daniel's mouth went dry. He thought of the lights he had seen above the storm, the strange glow moving across the sky. Maybe the darkness was already here. Maybe it was already watching. The elder whispered one final line, its voice heavy with warning. "If you refuse, the world will pay the price, and when the knock comes to every door, no one will be safe." Daniel sat in silence, his breath uneven. The storm outside had faded to a dull whisper, but the storm inside his chest was only growing stronger. His hand still tingled from the strange energy of the cube. He could not forget the visions, the battles, the warriors, the humans among the stars. It felt impossible, like a dream, yet the memory of it was sharp and alive in his mind. The elder watched him carefully. Its small frame looked fragile, as though the weight of time itself had bent its back. But its eyes, those silver, glowing eyes, were endless, ancient, and full of secrets. Daniel finally found his voice. "You showed me something, but I don't understand it. Why don't we remember any of it? If humans were once so powerful, why are we now like this? Ordinary, weak, struggling to survive on one planet." The elder took a slow breath, its chest rising and falling with effort. "Because the truth was hidden from you. Long ago, after victory, humans chose silence. They buried their strength. They locked away their memories. The cube is one of the few pieces left behind, a key to what you once were." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "But why hide it? Why forget something so important?" The elder's gaze shifted toward the window, where faint flashes of light flickered behind the clouds. "Because power always draws enemies. To protect your kind, the truth was sealed. Humans returned to their world, living simple lives far from the eyes of the galaxy. It was meant to keep you safe. But now, safety is gone. The darkness has found you again." The words sank deep into Daniel's mind. He walked across the room, his hand brushing over the cube. The object hummed faintly at his touch, like it recognized him. The sound was low, but it carried weight, like a secret heartbeat. "Tell me," Daniel said, his voice sharp with tension. "What is this cube really? What does it do?" The elder shifted slowly, pulling itself closer to the table. "The cube holds memories. It holds power. It was made to awaken humans when the time came. Not every human can use it, only those who are chosen by it." Daniel blinked, his chest tightening. "Chosen? And you're saying it chose me?" The elder gave a faint smile, though its face looked too ancient for such an expression. "Yes, it chose you. The cube called to you when I knocked on your door. It led me here. Out of all the humans in this city and this world, it guided me to you. That is not chance. That is the design of your kind." Daniel felt his stomach twist. A part of him wanted to throw the cube away, to deny all of this. But another part, a deeper part, wanted to know more. He felt pulled forward by the mystery, like a rope wrapped around his soul. "Show me," Daniel whispered. "Show me everything," the elder nodded slowly. "Then you must be ready." The cube does not only share history, it shares truth. And truth is heavy. Daniel placed both hands on the cube this time. The moment his skin touched it, light burst across the room, blue and white streams that painted the walls, the ceiling, even the air. His eyes widened as the room itself dissolved around him. Suddenly he was standing under a sky full of strange stars. Giant ships black as shadow filled the horizon. Fire lit the ground. Screams of battle echoed in his ears. He saw humans, not dressed in metal suits, not holding alien weapons, but fighting with something else. Their eyes glowed, their voices thundered, and their willpower turned into pure energy. With bare hands they pushed back machines the size of towers. With nothing but courage, they stood unbroken against armies. Daniel stumbled back in shock, but the vision kept pulling him forward. He saw a council of alien leaders, their faces twisted with fear as they whispered the same word again and again. Humans. They spoke of humans as a force, as a storm, as a power that could not be tamed. Then the vision shifted. He saw humans themselves, weary from war. They chose to return home. They chose peace. They sealed their power, locked their memories, and hid their true history in relics like the cube. The galaxy believed they had vanished. Earth became ordinary, forgotten, safe. The light faded. Daniel was back in his small house, gasping for breath, his knees weak. The cube glowed softly on the table, silent once again. The elder looked at him with solemn eyes. Now you see? That is the secret inside the cube. That is the truth your world has forgotten. Daniel's voice trembled. You're telling me humans once fought wars across the stars? That we were feared? The elder nodded. Yes, and that fear kept enemies away. But now those enemies return, and humans must remember who they are. Daniel leaned against the wall, his head spinning. The storm outside had gone silent, but the air inside felt heavier, like the world itself was pressing down on him. He looked at the elder with wide eyes. So this is why you came here? To give me this truth? The elder's voice was calm, almost sad. Not just truth, a choice. The secret inside the cube is not just memory. It is a weapon. In the hands of a true human, it can awaken what has been lost. It can call others to rise. But if it falls into the wrong hands, it will destroy everything. Daniel stared at the glowing cube, his reflection shining faintly on its surface. The words echoed in his mind. A choice. He felt the weight of it. His quiet life, his lonely nights, his ordinary existence, everything was gone now. In its place stood a secret so heavy it could crush the world. The elder whispered again, barely audible, but the words cut deep. You must decide, Daniel. Will you hide the secret, or will you awaken it? The room was quiet, but Daniel's heart thundered in his chest. The cube's glow had faded to a faint shimmer, leaving behind only the sound of his shaky breathing. He leaned against the wall, his eyes locked on the small alien elder sitting across from him. The visions he had just seen refused to leave his mind. Humans battling among the stars. Entire worlds trembling at their courage. Enemies whispering their name in fear. It felt impossible. Yet he had seen it. He had felt it. Daniel's voice broke the silence. If what you showed me is true, then why come here? Why come to me? What is it you want from me? The elder's silver eyes blinked slowly. Its voice was weak but steady, carrying the weight of something far greater than its small form. I came to give a warning. Daniel stiffened. A warning? The elder nodded. It pulled its cloak tighter around its frail body, as though the memory of cold space clung to its bones. The darkness you saw in the visions? It is not memory. It is not the past. It is here, moving, searching, and Earth is its next shadow. Daniel felt a chill crawl up his spine. His mouth went dry. You mean, it's coming now? The elder's eyes shone faintly brighter. Not coming. Already here. Its ships hide beyond your skies. Its agents walk among your people. The storm you heard tonight was only noise. The true storm waits above, where your world cannot see. Daniel's knees weakened. He forced himself to stay standing, gripping the edge of the table as if it were an anchor. Why Earth? Why us? The elder looked directly into his eyes. Because humans are not forgotten. The galaxy remembers, even if you do not, and the darkness knows that if humans awaken again, it cannot win. That is why it comes first to you, to erase you before you remember yourselves. The words struck Daniel harder than any weapon. He turned to the window. The rain had slowed, and through the gaps in the clouds, faint lights flickered in the sky. Not lightning, not stars, something else, something alive. His voice was barely a whisper. How long do we have? The elder bowed its head. Not long. The darkness moves quietly at first. It tests, it hunts. It breaks one door at a time. Just as I knocked on yours tonight, it will knock as well. And its knock will not ask, it will take. Daniel's fists clenched. The thought of strangers, monsters from the sky breaking into homes, taking lives, silencing voices forever. It burned through him with fear and anger. He turned back to the elder, his voice sharp. Then we have to fight. We have to warn everyone. We can't just sit here and wait to be taken. The elder gave a faint, sorrowful smile. That is why I came. To warn you. But understand this. Words alone will not save your world. Humans do not believe what they cannot see. If you tell them now, they will laugh. They will call it story, myth, madness. Daniel's shoulders fell. He knew the elder was right. People lived with screens in their hands, blind to the skies above. They would never believe a lonely man speaking of alien wars and ancient truths. So what do I do? Daniel asked, frustration thick in his voice. The elder leaned forward. Its silver eyes burned brighter now as though fueled by urgency. You prepare. You awaken others. The cube can call to those it chooses. You cannot fight this alone, but together humans can rise again. That is your path. Daniel looked at the cube. It pulsed faintly like it was listening, waiting. Could it really call others? Could it really bring back the power humans had once held? Before he could speak again, the elder's body shivered violently. It pressed a thin hand against its chest, its voice breaking. I do not have long. My journey was too far, too heavy. But before I leave, you must hear the rest of the warning. Daniel rushed closer, kneeling beside the small figure. What warning? Tell me. The elder's eyes fixed on his, unblinking, piercing. The darkness does not only bring armies. It brings corruption. It does not always fight with fire. Sometimes it whispers, it bends. It makes friends into traitors, leaders into slaves. It will break your kind from within if you do not stand strong. Daniel's heart pounded. He thought of the world he knew. Governments full of greed, people divided by fear and anger. If the darkness could twist even one voice of power, humanity would destroy itself without firing a single shot. The elder's hand trembled as it reached toward him. Its long fingers rested lightly on Daniel's arm. This is why courage matters. Not weapons, not ships, courage. Stand when others kneel. Speak when others fall silent. That is what makes humans dangerous to the darkness. That is what it fears. Daniel felt the weight of those words crush into him. He was just a man. But maybe that was the point. Humans were not gods or machines. They were fragile, and yet something in them could not be broken. The elder coughed, its body shaking. Its voice grew faint. I came to you because the first step begins here. When the darkness knocks, the world will remember what you choose tonight. Daniel swallowed hard, his throat dry. He looked at the cube, then at the elder, then at the flickering sky. His world was changing before his eyes, and there was no way back. He whispered, almost to himself. If it's already here, then we don't have time. The elder's final words carried like an echo across the room, heavy and eternal. Time is no longer yours. It belongs to the darkness, unless you take it back. Outside, a low rumble spread through the clouds. Not thunder, not wind. A sound deeper, heavier, as if something vast had just entered the sky above. Daniel stepped closer to the window, his pulse racing. Through the storm's fading veil, he saw them. Shadows moving against the stars. Too many to count. The knock had not yet come, but the warning was clear. The silence in Daniel's house felt heavier than the storm outside. The elder's warning still echoed in his mind. Darkness in the skies, corruption in the shadows, humanity on the edge of being erased. Daniel looked down at the glowing cube on the table. Its light was soft, pulsing gently, almost as if it were breathing. He reached toward it, but the elder lifted a trembling hand. Wait, it whispered. The cube cannot be held lightly. It must test you first. Daniel froze. Test me? What kind of test? The elder's silver eyes glimmered faintly in the dim room. Not of your strength, not of your knowledge. It will test your will. The cube knows the truth of a heart. If you fail, it will not choose you again. Daniel's mouth went dry. His heart pounded against his ribs. He looked at the cube once more. A test of my will. He had never been anyone special. He was just a man who lived alone in a quiet town. How could he carry something so heavy? Yet something deep inside him whispered, You've already opened the door. You can't turn back now. He placed his hands on the cube. At once the light surged, flooding the room with brilliant blue. The walls seemed to melt away, and suddenly Daniel was no longer in his house. He stood in a vast emptiness, a space without floor or ceiling, without sky or ground. Only endless shadows stretching in every direction. The cube hovered before him, spinning slowly, glowing brighter than ever. A voice filled the emptiness. It was not the elder's. It was deeper, colder, like the echo of a storm. Human, you wish to awaken. Then prove yourself. Show that your heart is more than fear. Daniel swallowed hard. He turned in every direction but saw no one. Only shadows moving, growing taller. Shapes began to form in the darkness. Eyes glowed. Teeth shined. Creatures, tall, twisted, monstrous, stepped forward. Their voices hissed as one, You are weak. You are nothing. You are dust that will vanish beneath us. Daniel's hands shook. His instinct screamed to run, but there was nowhere to run. The emptiness stretched forever. The shadows circled closer. One of the creatures lunged. Daniel raised his arms, expecting claws to tear him apart. Yet the strike never came. Instead, the creature stopped inches away, its glowing eyes burning into his. This is the test, the cold voice boomed. Face what you fear most. Stand or fall. Daniel's chest heaved. His mind raced with doubt. I can't fight them. I'm not a soldier. I'm no hero. The creatures closed in. Their whispers grew louder. You are small. You are weak. You will fail. You will kneel. He dropped to his knees, clutching his head. The fear was overwhelming, pressing down like a weight he could not escape. His body shook, sweat pouring down his face. But then, a memory flickered in his mind, the elder's words. Fear is what the darkness feeds on. Courage is what destroys it. Daniel clenched his teeth. His breath came hard and sharp. Courage. It's not about being unafraid. It's about standing anyway. Slowly, painfully, he pushed himself to his feet. His legs trembled, but he stood tall. He lifted his head, staring into the eyes of the nearest creature. His voice cracked, but it carried strength. I am human, and I will not kneel, the shadow hissed, recoiling slightly. The others pressed closer, their voices twisting into screams. Daniel's fear surged again, but he stood his ground. His fists tightened. He shouted louder, his voice echoing through the void. You want me to fall? I won't. You want me to break? I won't. Because I am more than fear. I am more than weakness. I am human, and we do not bow to the dark. The cube blazed like a star. The shadows shrieked, their bodies tearing apart as if the light burned through them. One by one, they dissolved into smoke until only silence remained. The emptiness faded. Daniel gasped as he found himself back in his small house, his knees buckling. He caught himself on the table, his breath ragged. The cube rested before him, glowing brighter than ever. The elder's eyes widened. Its voice carried a trembling note of awe. You passed. Daniel looked down at his shaking hands. I thought I was going to die. The elder shook its head. The cube does not kill. It reveals. It shows you yourself, and only those who face what lies inside may awaken its gift. Many would have broken. You did not. Daniel's pulse still raced, but he felt something new within him. Something steady, something strong. The fear was still there, but beneath it was a fire he had never known before. The elder leaned closer, whispering with urgency. Now the cube is truly yours. It will answer you. It will call to others. But remember, this was only the first test. The darkness will test you again, and not in shadows, but in the real world. And there the cost of failure is not illusion. It is death. Daniel glanced toward the window. The sky beyond the clouds still flickered with strange lights. He felt a chill crawl through him, but this time he did not look away. The knock had come to his door. The test had come to his soul. And soon the test would come to the world. Daniel's hands were still trembling from the cube's trial. His breath came in sharp bursts, sweat dripping down his face. Yet something inside him had changed. The fear was still there, but beneath it burned a steady fire. The cube's glow was no longer faint. It pulsed with strength, alive in his presence. The elder watched him with tired eyes. Its body seemed weaker now, as though the journey and the weight of truth had drained the last of its strength. Still, its silver gaze was unbroken. You are chosen, the elder whispered. The cube has accepted you. Now you are ready to hear the full truth. Daniel straightened, though his knees still felt weak. The full truth? He asked, his voice wary. I've seen visions. I've seen humans fighting among the stars. Isn't that the truth already? The elder shook its head slowly. You have seen only fragments. The visions were memory, shadows of what was. But you do not yet know why. You do not yet know the secret that binds your kind. Daniel's chest tightened. His instincts told him that what was coming would be heavier than anything he had heard before. He pulled out a chair and sat down, his eyes locked on the small alien elder. Then tell me. No more pieces. No more half-truths. Tell me everything. The elder closed its eyes as if searching through centuries of memory. When it spoke again, its voice carried a strange mixture of sorrow and respect. Long ago, before your people wrote history, before your first cities rose, humans were not confined to this small world. They were wanderers of the stars. They carried no vast machines, no fleets of steel. Their power was different, born not of tools, but of spirit. Daniel leaned forward, his brow furrowed. Spirit? Yes, the elder said softly. What you call courage, what you call will, it was more than feeling. It was force. In every human, that fire exists, and when awakened, it can shape the world. It can break metal. It can even bend the void of space itself. That is why the galaxy feared you, not because of weapons, not because of numbers, but because you turned belief into power. Daniel felt his breath catch. The memory of the trial returned, the shadows pressing in, his voice shouting against them, and the light bursting from the cube when he refused to kneel. Could it be true? Had that fire been inside him all along? The elder's voice grew heavier. But power has a cost. Humans rose quickly, too quickly. Entire empires that had ruled the stars for ages fell before you. They called you destroyers. They called you storms in flesh. And so they allied against you. They brought their armies, their machines, their endless fleets. But still, they could not win. Daniel's eyes widened. We defeated them? The elder nodded slowly. Yes, humanity stood unbroken. The galaxy bent in fear. And yet, in victory, humans saw something they did not expect. They looked into the eyes of their enemies and saw themselves, afraid, desperate, clinging to survival. And so instead of ruling, your kind chose silence. They laid down their fire. They buried their truth. They returned to Earth, a quiet planet where they erased the memory of what they had been. They chose peace. Daniel's stomach twisted. The idea that humanity had once stood at the center of the galaxy, only to erase its own greatness, it sounded impossible. And yet, in his heart, it felt real. He shook his head slowly. So we were warriors, but chose to forget? The elder's eyes locked onto his. Yes, and for a time it worked. The galaxy believed you gone. Empires rose again. But whispers remained. Stories passed through the stars. And the darkness, the same enemy you once defeated, never forgot. It waited. It grew stronger. And now, it returns, believing humans are weak, unready, asleep. Daniel stood suddenly, pacing across the room. His voice was sharp, heavy with anger. And we are unready. Look at us, we fight each other. We're divided. We don't even believe in what's above our own skies. How can we face something like that now? The elder raised its hand. The cube pulsed, filling the room with its glow. That is why the cube remains. It is a spark. One becomes two. Two becomes many. You are not meant to fight alone. The cube will call to others, humans who carry the fire inside them. Together you can awaken what was lost. Daniel stared at the light. For the first time he imagined it. Not just him, not just one man in a lonely house, but people everywhere rising together, their courage burning brighter than the dark. A force no enemy could break. Still, doubt gnawed at him. His voice lowered. And if we fail? The elder's eyes dimmed slightly, sorrow etched across its ancient face. Then your world will fall. And when Earth falls, the galaxy will fall with it. For humans are not only protectors of their world, they are the balance of all others. Without you, the darkness will consume everything. The weight of those words pressed into Daniel like stone. Humanity wasn't just fighting for itself. It was fighting for all existence. The elder leaned back, its frail body trembling. This is the revelation, Daniel. This is the truth hidden inside your blood, inside your history. Humans are not what they believe. They are more. And the galaxy waits to see if you will awaken, or vanish forever. Daniel stood in silence, his fists tightening at his sides. The truth was heavy, but the fire inside him burned brighter now. He looked at the cube, then at the elder, and finally at the sky beyond the storm. The ships were still there. The darkness was already moving. He whispered to himself, not in fear, but in resolve. If they want to test us again, they'll see what humans really are. The cube pulsed as if answering him, its light flaring once more. The revelation was clear. Humanity's silence had ended. The night felt heavier than ever. The storm had finally ended, but the silence outside Daniel's house was not comforting. It was unnatural. In the distance, faint light still flickered across the sky, moving in patterns too deliberate to be stars. The elder's words lingered in his ears. The darkness is already here. Daniel stood near the table, staring at the glowing cube. Its light seemed stronger now, as if it was waiting for him to decide. He had seen the visions. He had faced the test. He had heard the revelation of what humanity once was. But now came the hardest part. Not what he had seen, but what he would choose. The elder's weak voice broke the silence. The cube will not act without you. It is a mirror, Daniel. It shows you who you are, but it cannot walk the path. Only you can. Daniel turned, his face tense. You're asking me to lead something I don't even understand. I'm just one man. What if I fail? What if I make the wrong choice? The elder's silver eyes glimmered faintly. Failure is always possible, but inaction is death. The darkness feeds on silence. If no one stands, then all will fall. But if one stands, others will rise. Daniel's chest tightened. He thought of the world outside his door, people asleep in their homes, unaware of the threat moving above them. He thought of their laughter, their anger, their struggles, their fragile humanity. Ordinary people living ordinary lives. Could they truly rise? Could they remember what they had once been? The elder coughed, its body trembling as though it was running out of strength. You must decide. Hide the truth and live a quiet life until the darkness finds you, or carry the truth and awaken the fire of your kind. The cube will call to others, but it begins with you. Your choice will shape your world. Daniel walked toward the window. He pushed aside the curtain and stared at the night sky. The lights moved again. 3, maybe 4 of them, forming a line above the horizon. They were not planes. They were not satellites. He felt it in his bones. They were watching. A cold shiver ran through him. The knock that had come to his door was not the last. Soon the world would hear it too. His reflection in the glass stared back at him. Tired eyes, unshaven face, just a man who never thought he mattered. Yet now that same reflection stood between earth and something vast, something merciless. He whispered, more to himself than to anyone else. I never asked for this. The elder's voice was faint but firm. No human ever asked, but every human must answer. Daniel closed his eyes. He remembered the trial, the shadows whispering, demanding he kneel. He remembered standing anyway, even when fear clawed at him. That was the fire, the same fire the elder spoke of, the fire that lived in every human waiting to be awakened. He turned back toward the cube. Its glow pulsed brighter, as if urging him forward. He placed his hands on it once more. The hum grew louder, filling the room, vibrating through the walls. The light spread across his skin, wrapping around him like threads of energy. Visions struck again, flashes of people he had never met. Faces across the world, sleeping, working, dreaming. Some were young, some old, some broken by life, some still hopeful. Each face glowed faintly, as if the cube was searching, reaching. Daniel gasped as he realized the truth. It was calling to them. The elder's voice echoed beside him. This is your choice, Daniel. To awaken the others or to let them sleep. Once you call, the darkness will know. It will strike harder. There will be no turning back. Daniel's heart pounded. He felt the weight of billions pressing down on his shoulders. If he chose wrong, the world could burn. If he chose silence, the world would fall without even knowing why. He drew a deep breath, his voice steady now. If the darkness is already here, then it's too late to hide. The cube flared. The light spread wider, pushing against the shadows of the room. The hum grew into a deep, resonant tone that seemed to shake the air itself. Daniel grit his teeth, holding on as the energy surged. Suddenly he felt it. Connections forming, threads of light stretching outward far beyond his house, far beyond the town. Across oceans, across continents, the cube was touching others, reaching into their hearts, searching for the fire inside them. Somewhere out there, people would wake in the middle of the night, their chests burning with an unknown strength, their dreams filled with visions of battles long forgotten. The elder's eyes shone brighter than ever. It has begun. Daniel stood straighter, his hand still pressed against the glowing cube. The fear was there, but it no longer controlled him. He understood now he was not alone. Humanity would not face the darkness as one man, but as many, as countless. But even as hope flickered, danger pressed closer. The rumble outside grew louder, deeper, shaking the walls of the house. Daniel rushed to the window. The lights in the sky were no longer distant. They were descending. For the first time, he saw the shape of the ships. Dark, jagged silhouettes cutting through the clouds, their massive forms blocking the stars. They were coming. The elder's voice was almost gone, a fading whisper. You chose courage. Now prepare, for the knock will come again, not at one door, but at all. Daniel clenched his fists, his gaze locked on the ships above. His choice was made. The world would remember what it meant to be human. And outside, as the first shadow fell across the earth, the night ended not with silence, but with the beginning of war.